people you know with love. The words I have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? You say it's very hard to leave behind the life we knew. But there's no other way.
Hey. Good morning, Unity of Sarasota. Good to see you all here. We're going to start off with Blessed Always. Oh, blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Easy song. I'm going to invite you to sing. Don't sing real hard. Sing softly so that there's less, But it's a beautiful song. Hold it in your heart. Ready?
Can I sing now? Blessed always,
blessed always, for the arms of God surround us.
Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. and say amen.
How's that feel? I'm Reverend Dr. Susie Shadle. I welcome you to Unity of Sarasota, where something blessed is always happening. And you just made that happen with us. So feel that blessing and know that you are the blessing. Ooh, for some reason, like I can't figure that out. It really got to me. Ooh, okay. Okay. If you are a guest here for the first time today, please stand and remain standing for just a moment. We'd like to find out where you're visiting us from. Do we have any? Great. We do have one guest. And where are you visiting us from today?
From Bradenton Unity Church and Unity Church in the Woods in Bradenton.
Terrific. Welcome. Glad to have you with us. And I believe you already got a welcome packet. Anyone else who would like a welcome packet, they're out there in the sanctuary lobby. Please take one. If you've never filled out a welcome card, there's one attached to the back. The envelope itself contains all kinds of information about Unity and Unity of Sarasota. So please let us know who you are. We'd like to stay in touch with you and let you know about the things that are happening here. Excuse me. I also want to welcome those who are joining us on our live stream on our website, unityofsarasota.org. Let's wave to the ones who are home in their jammies, really comfortable. You know, I threatened during the pandemic when we were just online. I said, Rob and I know that you guys are home in your jammies, really comfortable, and one of these days we're wearing ours, which we did. So look out, it might happen again. So welcome to all of you. Know that you can not only catch the live stream if you happen to be out of town or you're not able to get here, you can catch the live stream on unityofsarasota.org, or you can go to our YouTube page and our Facebook page after the service, and you can get the recording there or again on the website. It's truly wonderful to have all of you here with us, joining your energy with ours, joining our energy together to celebrate this morning on this beautiful, wonderful Sunday morning. Wherever you may be in your spiritual journey, we are glad to have you journey with us because it makes the trip a whole lot more fun. Our board member of the day is, don't sit down yet, Donna, is Donna Stewart. She's right there in the back. Thank you, Donna. You can go have some refreshments and talk to Donna and some of the other folks after the service. They will be at the red umbrella table. Hey, Clint. I know him well enough I can tease him like that. Okay. So Donna will be at the red umbrella welcome table, as will some other folks who can answer questions for you about, or take some positive suggestions you might have for the business aspects of Unity of Sarasota, and certainly talk to me and Reverend about any of the spiritual things you'd like to know about. Know that we are a beacon of light and love, opening minds, touching hearts, and transforming lives. And that truly makes a difference in the world. We're an inclusive spiritual community that embraces empowering and life-affirming practical spirituality for richer living in our lives right here and right now. And together, we join with our unity movement worldwide in creating a world that works for all. Anybody else excited about the idea of having a world that works for all? Anybody? Yeah? So that's something we want to work on, not just on Sundays. In fact, most especially we want to work on it on the other days of the week, right? When it's easy to forget. Oh, that's right. I'm creating a world that works for all. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. I shouldn't do this, but I will. Sometimes I decide I go through these fits of thinking I'm going to eat healthy. And sometimes I actually do it. And so I'll think, okay, I'm not going to eat fried foods and sugar and all these things. And I'm about to take a big old bite of a piece of fried chicken. And then I go, oh, I forgot I'm not eating fried foods. So it's kind of that way with that vision of creating a world that works for all. We forget in the course of the week, and we get all involved in our human activities, and we forget that we are part of creating a world that works for all. So let's do it 24/7. What do you say? Yeah, okay. And stop me from eating fried chicken, please. All right. So we have some invitations for your participation as part of this community. And I want to start, actually, with thanking our building and grounds team who keep this building and the grounds in good maintenance and looking good. I mean, it looks better than it's looked in years. I think it looks fabulous. I get a lot of comments on it out and about in the community. Oh, you mean that place that's a park? Yeah. If you've been part of the building and grounds team, they were here this past yesterday. If you are part of that team yesterday or anytime, please stand up and be recognized and thanked. Terrific. I want to move on to just a very quick health and safety moment. We are still practicing some of the protocols that were started when COVID first began. We've lightened it up a little bit, going with CDC guidelines, but do continue to distance unless you're with people that you're living with or are sort of your pod. We're inviting you to sing more and more. However, as I said, sing softly. God hears you, and not quite so robust yet. Also, we've got sanitizers everywhere. Use them liberally. And we're not supposed to be hugging and touching yet. We're doing namaste. Sometimes, like the fried chicken, we forget. And so, let's keep things as safe as we can until we're sure that it's really okay, because we're not completely out of the woods yet. So let's be safe, okay? Be wise, be safe. And then one last thing I want to make sure that you know, because we are nearing, or actually we're in hurricane season, and so things can happen here that are interesting, either natural disasters or man-made, and so we want to be sure you know where the exits are. I feel like a flight attendant. They're right over here. You will not be getting peanuts or drinks, however. So the exits are here, and these are probably the best ones for you to take, because often what you're trying to avoid is coming through the door you came in on. So be wise again, and whatever you do, don't panic, because nothing's going to happen anyway. We're setting that intention, right? We have God's white light around us. Now, here's a fun fact. Next week, go ahead. Next week, we will not be wearing our pajamas. However, we will be wearing our picnic clothes, because next week we're having a barbecue after service for the 4th of July. It's rare that the 4th of July, well, every 7 years, 4th of July falls on a Sunday. It happens to be this year, so we're having a cookout right after service. We are providing the hamburgers, the hot dogs, the Beyond Burgers, some chips, and possibly a dessert. And I want to thank Jerry Stricker's not here today, but I want to thank Jerry Stricker for donating most of the money to accommodate that. So let's thank Jerry. Maybe he's watching. So dress casual, picnic right after. We'll provide lemonade and iced tea and all that kind of stuff. If you want to bring a side dish that you share only with yourselves and your pod, that's fine. We're not in the practice of sharing food yet, so you got to wait for that. It does not seem like a safe thing to do. And we'll have, designated people will be doing the cooking and the serving so that we keep things safe. But don't you think we're entitled to a little bit of fun after all this time? Yeah, okay. So come and, and one other thing. Rob's going to stay, and he's going to be playing keyboards. Phil Lieber's bringing his guitar. I'll bring my flutes. If you play instruments or you sing, get ready. We're going to have a music jam during all of this, too. So we're just going to make up for all the fun we didn't have for the last year and a half. You ready to party? All right, good. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, and then finally, I just want to say, please, when you go on your social media, Do all the likes and loves and clicks and shares and all the things that you can do to let other people know about Unity of Sarasota, and invite them. Better yet, not only do that, but actually personally invite them to come to a Sunday celebration at 10:30 or a Wednesday evening music and inspiration at 7 p.m. Invite them to do that. I think they will be very pleased that you did. And so pay attention to this song, because I think probably next week or the week after, you'll be singing it, and we'll actually give you the words.
Every prayer is answered. Every prayer is heard. Every thought and feeling, every spoken word, what your soul has longed for, what your heart can feel, is already here, is already real. There is no one out there, there is no one else. You hold all the answers deep inside yourself. There's a voice that whispers, there's no you, no me. There's one, there's just unity. One power, one presence, one light to lead the way. All knowing, all loving, that answers when you pray. When the world looks darkest and your eyes can't see, you have all those troubles, give them all to me. I am always with you, I will always be. I am one, I am unity. We are one, we are unity.
Let's move into prayer. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. Otherwise, a soft gaze, perhaps looking at the flame of the candle, or looking at this world that works for all. Let's take a deep breath in to the center of our being. Hold that, and then release it fully. And again, a deep breath in to the center of your being. Know that that is the in-breath of spirit, inspiration. Release the breath as your expression of the one. And breathing in deeply, let the breath of spirit fill and massage your heart open. And release the breath. And let's renew our awareness of who we truly are, that we are each an expression of the one. We express ourselves individually, uniquely, diversely, and yet remain one in the unity of all life and creation. For there is only one, and that one is Father, Mother, God, Spirit itself. Let us remember the truth of that being and be grateful for the opportunity to come together to remind ourselves and each other of that truth, that each one of us is here on purpose. Each one of us called to fulfill that purpose, that seed of vision implanted in our soul by God. Each one of us, in everyday life, in each awakened moment, living fully in the presence of the One, being an expression of that One. And as we come together, each expressing that individuality, that uniqueness, we weave a tapestry of unity and wholeness and oneness together. And that is a world that works for all. Each thread embedded in the tapestry. Each thread essential. Each thread collectively creating wholeness, oneness. For this realization of the truth and our willingness to live in, and as that truth in all that we are, think, say, and do, I am eternally grateful. And so it is. And together we say, thank God within and all around me. Amen. And so together we will recite our statement of being. Together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, who is perfect life, perfect intelligence, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. You are an individualized expression of God. We are individualized expressions of God.
Resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. The light of God is light in me, and resting in the light of God, I know that all is well. The grace of God is grace in me, and resting in the grace of God, I know that all is well. The joy of God is joy in me, and resting in the joy resting in the love of God, I know that all is well. I know that all is well.
Did you feel that too? Feel that? Would you hold that slide, please? I want to move us. I want to move us back into prayer for a moment. The prayer we just did was good. I want to add some people. I want to add the folks down there in Miami who are impacted by that condominium that fell. And so let's go back into prayer for just a moment, okay? Let's be in prayer knowing that those whose lives were taken by this terrible disaster are making peaceful passage. That Father, Mother, God, Spirit is with them as they make this transition from the life of the flesh to the life of spirit. And let us know also that miracles are not unusual, that miracles are awesome normalities. And so we pray for a miracle of life. We pray that others are rescued and that the miracle of God is with them. And so let us invite that possibility of the miracle of life, sustaining itself even when it seems not possible, because we know that with God all things are possible. And so we send our prayers, we send the vibration and the energy of our soul, of our hearts, to Miami, to those people in the condominium and those people who are their loved ones, their friends, their family. Let us send them peace, the peace of God. So I know that Father, Mother, God, Spirit is present in this situation and present with each one there. And for this realization of the truth, I am grateful. And so it is. And together we say, thank God within and all around us. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for that. So let's start with our core value affirmation. We heal false beliefs and reveal our wholeness and oneness through the spiritual practice of visioning, which is to catch Spirit's vision, meditation, affirmative prayer, spiritual study, giving of our time, talent, and treasure, and sacred service, and so much more. So I'm going to ask you to say that with me, and say it with gusto from the very center of your being. We heal false beliefs and reveal our wholeness and oneness through the spiritual practice of visioning, meditation, affirmative prayer, spiritual study, giving of time, talent, and treasure, sacred service, and more. Thank you. Thank you. You didn't know I had so much power in my fingers, did you? Okay. You know, we've been living through some interesting and challenging times in the last year and a half. Would you agree? Yeah, and it's like nothing I've been through. And you know, as times that we live in become less ordinary, we are called to become less ordinary in our response to these times. And what that means is, you know, rather than reacting or wanting to nostalgically go back to the way things were, we are called to respond to these changing, challenging times and to move forward, to create anew, to not go back to what we had that was familiar necessarily. Those can be some anchor points, but ultimately we're called to move forward, to create, to co-create newness out of what exists now. And so the best way I know to do that, individually and collectively, is to take time for authentic connection with Father, Mother, God, Spirit. Because when we do that, it releases our capacity to shift how we live and to also know how to treat each other differently through this time. You know, if you're having a challenging time, guess who else is? Anybody? Everybody. We all are. So if ever there was a time for us to treat each other well, I would guess it's now, right? And even if it isn't, do it anyway. So that connection with Spirit within and all around us grounds us in such a way lifts us in such a way that we can meet those challenging times, those extraordinary times. Now, kids, I've noticed this in myself and in kids I've observed, that kids often have a natural connection with the divine. When I was a little kid, all my friends had imaginary playmates. I, on the other hand, did not have an imaginary playmate. My playmate was God, and I was pretty sure of it. I imagined myself actually going around with my hand in God's hand. We were best friends, and God was my playmate. We did every kind of adventure you can imagine together. And so I had a very close relationship with God, and I was absolutely clear that it was real and that it was just a normal thing. As I got a little older, I became baffled at the idea that other people didn't have that same thing, other kids, or especially the big people, the adults. I was like, wow, what's up with those people? What are they missing? So kids have sort of that natural bent. But guess what? As I started to move into adulthood, I got to be like those big people. And I started to forget that tight relationship with my playmate, God. And I started to get a little further away and further distant. Well, several years ago, the church in Seattle that I was part of, we had every year a family camp where we went to this wonderful, wonderful rural place on the Hood Canal. And it was just a beautiful, wonderful experience. And this one particular year, I was in charge of the 5 to 7-year-olds. And some of you probably think that's exactly the right place for you. But at any rate, it's a great age, 5 to 7. And so at one point they were doing art. They were, drawing and things and painting and whatever. And one of my dear friends' youngest daughter was painting, or drawing very intently and walking by. And I said, so what are you drawing a picture of? And she said, I'm drawing a picture of God. And I said, well, nobody really knows what God looks like. And without even missing a stroke, she says, well, they will when I'm done with my picture. So, I mean, it's cute, but it's pretty profound, actually, when you think about it. And, we too can get back to that level of confidence and that level of connection with God. We can do that. We have to, as adults, we have to kind of, get focused and really think about it and push out the distractions in order to do it. It doesn't come quite as naturally sometimes, but we can do it. Christina Baldwin wrote, when we ask, God opens us to the life of spirit hidden in everyday details. If every day the divine is attempting to communicate its greater wisdom, then one of the most important things we can do is find a way to listen. Find a way to listen. Pay attention. I thought it would be fun today to explore some spiritual touchstones, if you will, to open us to Spirit's wisdom and guidance for our everyday lives. There's stuff going on in everyday situations, and we tend to walk right by it and not reap the benefits. So I'm going to start with the first touchstone is to give time, set aside time to restore our inner peace of mind and heart. Time to restore our inner peace of mind and heart. And what that requires is a willingness on our part to invite spiritual transformation every day. To say, wow, I could experience transformation every day if I chose to be fully present, fully aware, and took advantage of it. Every day. Can you imagine? We think it's got to be a big, huge event that's planned years in advance. Those usually don't go well. But if we are tuned in, we can invite that every single day. A little bit more awakening each day. It requires that we get quiet and that we let go of our monkey mind chatter and the clutter of our minds. Let it go. Clean it out a little bit. And step away from that personality ego self and step into our spiritual self. Nurture a consistent and conscious relationship with Spirit. Those of you who are in a relationship, some of you are in a long-time marriage, congratulations to you. Some of you are in new relationships, perhaps. But I think both of you know at either end of the spectrum, for that relationship to really work, you need to nurture it. You need to be consistent with it. You need to give it attention, right? Am I right? Or because I've not done that, and it shows. That's why I'm single. If we do that with God, I mean, can you imagine not doing that? I mean, it just makes sense that we be fully present and that we really nurture and be consistent in that relationship with Spirit. It gives us the opportunity to decode the divine in everyday occurrences and interactions, that there's something spiritual going on all the time. But we have to have the eyes, the spiritual eyes to see it, and the ears to hear it, the heart to hold it. We're called to become a person who truly listens deeply and asks deep questions, moves into meditation and prayer and serves and awakens. And that's what that moving into relationship with Spirit can do for us. And ultimately, we realize that God is not out there somewhere, not up there in the heavens somewhere, but that God is within and all around us. When Brother Wayne Teasdale asked people in Western cultures, where is God? They tended to point up to heaven. When he asked the same question of people in Eastern cultures, they pointed to their hearts. I happen to believe that both are true, that God is within and all around, that God is transcendent and also immanent. And so I created the word transcendimmanent. And if you can spell that, you can get a gold star at the end of this service. So God is transcendimmanent, within and all around. It's kind of a nice word. Say that with me. Transcendimmanent. It's a cool feel. Transcendimmanent. It's kind of a cool word. I'll have to see if I can get it in the dictionary this year. I think we're called to restore our God connection if it's come disconnected in some way, and to restore our inner peace and calm. You know, when we do that, that inner peace creates a blank slate for the messages of divine guidance to be written upon. We clear the space to be available to that guidance. And the way that I best know to get there, to get to that place at center of peace and calm, is to practice the most basic centering exercise, which is to consciously breathe in and out. We do that a lot here. And so know that when we inhale the in-breath of Spirit, that is inspiration. And when we exhale the out-breath of Spirit, that is our unique expression of the One. So breathing in and breathing out, it's not just to keep us alive. It's deeper than that. We breathe in the inspiration that is Spirit itself, and we breathe out the expression of Spirit that we are. That's how important your breath is. To say nothing of, it keeps you sitting upright. You know, I often say to people, let's practice. You guys breathe in only. You guys breathe out only, and we'll see how that works. Not very well. So it's a flow. It's a divine flow. Breathing in the inspiration and then being the inspiration as we breathe out. Breathing in blessing, breathing out blessing. And so let's practice. We'll do a little mini practice, but this is a really cool thing that you can do at home, and it's really helpful. Or you can do, when you're stuck in a traffic jam or something. But close your eyes if it feels comfortable. It's not really, really necessary. But breathe one breath in. Breathe that breath out to let go. And now breathe one breath in and breathe that breath out to be here now. Breathe one breath in and one breath out, asking, now, what is Spirit's call for me? One breath in, one breath out to let go. One breath in, one breath out to be here now. One breath in, one breath out, asking, now what is Spirit's call for me? It's a great way to start your morning, actually. Start your morning with that. Very simple. As you saw, it took a minute, right? This poem by Eddie Hilsum kind of encapsulates what I'm talking about. There is a really deep well inside me, and in it dwells God. Sometimes I am there too, but more often stones and grit block the well, and God is buried beneath. Then he must be dug out again. Breathe. Literally, that breathing in and breathing out digs God out of the rubble so that we can be present to the presence. And it's vital. It's vital. A second touchstone. Move at the pace of guidance. Move at the pace of guidance. You know, the world is moving fast and frantically, filled with distractions and disasters, almost spinning out of control, it seems sometimes. And the world pushes us to move as fast as it is and as frantically as it is. And when we speed to catch up, we lose touch with God. We get deaf to the guidance that's available to us, and our ego steps in and takes control. And things seem really wackadoodle. That's a spiritual term, wackadoodle. It's one you want to get out of. We're called to live as present beings. Present beings. We are called human beings, not human doings. And frankly, I'm saying that more to me than I am to you, because I have a tendency to do too much. Be more, and the doing that you do will be more impactful because it comes out of beingness, right? Let's practice together. Let's keep each other on that track. Deal? All right. So the pace of guidance, when we move into the pace of guidance, it's an invitation to combine deep listening and measured conscious action. Deep listening and measured conscious action. So we have to take time to ask questions, and more importantly, listen for the answers. It's great when we ask a question and walk away, right? Ask a question and wait for the answer before moving forward. Take time to ask what is Spirit's call. Because you know what? It might just override the plans that you're making. I have a suspicion that often Spirit has a better plan than we do. What it was Ashley Bright said, life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. Yeah. So listen to Spirit's plans. Listen to Spirit's vision. The pace of guidance, just like that inner peace, begins within. It begins within. We slow down in order to open and be receptive and to actively listen for spiritual guidance. To listen for that still, small voice within rather than the clatter of that internal committee. You know the one. Yeah, don't listen to that. Listen to that still, small voice within. The still, small voice speaks with the power and the authority of Father, Mother, God, Spirit. That still, small voice is a direct connection to divine guidance. Guidance. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it till I am done. Guidance. G-U-I-D-A-N-C-E. God, you, and I dance. When we dance with God, that's where we're supposed to be. Get in the middle of the dance floor with God. Imagine yourself whirling around the dance floor with God. That's how we get it. That's how we hear that still small voice. Because while we're dancing in the middle of the dance floor with God, God is whispering in our ear. Listen. Listen. That inner guidance is simply awareness of the flow of insight and information within and all around us. We're paying attention instead of just jumping in. Paying attention, responding rather than reacting. We move into dialogue with God. Godalogue. Have a godalogue. And listen and catch Spirit's vision. Catch Spirit's guidance. What am I being called to? What is Spirit's vision for my life? What must I release in order to fulfill this vision, to fulfill this call of God? And so you do the breath thing again. You be still. And you breathe one breath in, one breath out, to let go. of preconceived notions. You breathe one breath in, one breath out to be here now. You breathe one breath in, one breath out, and ask the question, what is Spirit's call for my life? Or for this moment? Listening to that divine guidance, that inner voice, is not a one-time deal. It's not, checked it off, heard it. No, it's a moment-by-moment unfolding of your life. The dance never stops with God. Continue to dance. And commit, whatever you do, commit to move at the pace of guidance no matter how hard the world pushes to move you faster. Move at the pace of guidance. An additional touchstone is to embrace our certainty of purpose. Embrace our certainty of purpose. It requires a commitment to discover who we've come here to be and what we've come here to do out of that beingness. And it begins with, first of all, the belief that we have a purpose and a call. The awareness that our individual call, our individual purpose impacts the communal life of all. We're that thread in the tapestry of life. Every thread is important and essential. We each have our particular music to play in the symphony of life. And if we don't play our part, there's something missing. And when we play that music part, we can contribute harmony or disharmony, and so choose wisely. Practice your scales. The purpose of life is to grow our soul and to become who we truly are and to contribute to the greater life. There's a legend in the Jewish tradition that when a baby is conceived, an angel accompanies that little baby's soul in the womb. And then the baby's soul and the angel become aware and reveal the baby's call and purpose. What's this soul coming to contribute? Who will love this being and help support its purpose? But just as the birthing process itself starts, the angel must return to the heavens. But before leaving, the angel reaches out and presses its finger on the upper lift of the child, the baby. We all have this, that little dip there. That's the angel pressing and going, whispers to the baby and says, hush, now you must forget so that as your life unfolds, you rediscover your purpose. So we are all born infused with purpose, and yet we arrive with amnesia of what that purpose is. And so our life is a commitment to discover, to rediscover, and to be on purpose. And here's the thing, we're not sort of left out in the cold. I mean, we do get glimpses. When I was a child, and I've told you this story before, I was very clear that I wanted to be either a priest or a game show host. And so, you think that's funny, and they're not connected, but they are. I was raised Catholic, and every Friday night was bingo night, and who ran the bingo game? The priest. So you see, it's very logical that I would want to do one or both of those things. Now, after many, many detours and, left and right turns and whatever, I ultimately did answer that call. And as far as I'm concerned, I did become a priest and a game show host. And here I am, here I stand. And just to cap it off, my ordination ceremony took place in what had been a huge Catholic cathedral. So I was like, ha. So my point, though, is that, so many of our childhood memories and stories of what had our attention and what we thought we wanted to be when we grew up really hold clues to our purpose and call. And so the question is to ask ourselves, how might those youthful insights translate into our present day lives? What is calling us now? What's the next right thing for me? And you'd be amazed at how some of those childhood dreams translate into adulthood. But so many of us bypassed those dreams and we did what we thought made sense. And then after we got older, maybe retired or whatever, or came to our senses, we said, hey, wait a minute. That's somebody else's deal. I'm going to do what I'm called to. I'm going to be who I came here to be. And so there's always that opportunity to take back your real life, your true life. Through our lives, we do get glimpses of that thing that we forgot, that purpose and call that we forgot, of who we've come here to be. We do get those little glimpses. You've experienced those, I'm sure, that you go, oh, this is pulling to me. This is calling me. And while we're forgetting from that little press from the angel, there are moments of recognition, and a yearning happens that's calling us to awaken, and we long to know who we are and who we've come here to be and what we're called to do. And that yearning pulls us into the mystery and the opportunities of why am I here? Gives us the opportunity to give answer to that. And so we attune to that voice of guidance in the moments of inner peace of mind and heart. And we listen, and we allow that guidance to be written on that blank slate that we've opened up and said, I've let go of the stuff so that I can be available to the real stuff. And so a final touchstone that we'll look at today is to ask for what you need and want and offer what you can. Ask for what you need and want and offer what you can. Asking and offering puts us in a dance of reciprocity, in the circulation of receiving and giving, in the flow of God's good. Asking, offering, giving, receiving is one circular motion with no beginning and no end. It's a constant flow. And that spiritual exchange requires mindfulness on our part to be present to the opportunities all within and all around us. Everything and everyone is interconnected in this life, interconnected in the opportunities to give and receive, constantly giving, receiving. We're woven together in this ongoing exchange of energy. That spiritual reciprocity, that's not an easy word to say, reciprocity creates the flow and keeps the flow going. It becomes imbalanced when we're only giving, or only taking. You got to keep the cycle flowing, keep it going. If you only give and give, you deplete. If you only take, people stop giving. They say, hey, that's a taker. I don't know if I want to hang with that. But you've probably noticed the frustration when you try to give and somebody is unwilling to receive. It's frustrating, right? Because it blocks your flow, right? So all of it is important. All of it flows. So practicing this particular touchstone mitigates often that negative and often exhausting energy of competition and consumerism, of materialism, of getting too into the stuff and not enough into the spirit. And so ask mindfully for what you need and want and offer what you can. Keep the flow going. Remember that we live in an abundant universe with a generous God, and we do not have an abundance problem on this planet. We have a distribution problem. There's more than enough, but what we need is to cycle and exchange more of what we have. It's called something we learned when we were this big, sharing. Remember that? Remember when you were taught to share? And so what if we said, all of it belongs to all of us. Let's all share in the goodness of God. Seems kind of simple. Kids get it until they get to about age 6, and then they start to forget. I want to share something with you about touchstones. I don't know that you can see this terribly well, but it's a beautiful green heart. And it's such that it almost appears like there's a light shining through it. Well, a green heart in the hands of God, coming down into the hands of God, was part of the logo of the church I started in Seattle. And so this was always a very important symbol to me. And many years ago now, it was time for me to, in for spiritual living, you're licensed as a minister, and then after at least 3 years of being a minister, then you go through the ordination process. It's different from unity. Unity, you do it all at once. And so it was time for me to be ordained. And I happened to go to Palm Springs to a spiritual conference down there. And they said, this is great, we'll set up the ordination panel while you're here for the conference, because there'll be plenty of ministers. And so you sit before a panel of 3 ordained ministers who ask questions and check to make sure you're not a crazy person, and then, you're ordained. And so the more that was supposed to happen, the day that was supposed to happen, I really made a ritual of the entire morning of, bathing and getting ready, getting dressed, and, everything was very conscious and meaningful, and it was almost like a Tai Chi kind of thing. And before I left the room to head over to where I was supposed to meet the paneling ministers, I grabbed my touchstone and put it in my pocket. And I just, was touching it along the way. And I was to meet them in this little tiny cafe, breakfast cafe, and they would come get me and then take me to the room for the paneling. And a little bit early, so I sat down and I was having a biscotti and a little cup of coffee, and this young woman came up and she said, "Wow, you're all dressed up and you look really, really nice. Is something special happening?" And I explained that I was, having my ordination panel, and she said, "Oh, that's cool. So you must know a lot of these ministers." And I said, yeah, I do. Well, then she proceeded to talk to me about that all of these spiritual leaders who I knew very well and organizers of this conference were all part of some kind of wild and crazy sex conspiracy ring. And I was like, okay, touch that stone a lot. And I was like, what? This is not happening. And, right before my ordination panel, I'm like, this is such a weird discussion. And then I thought, I have a lot of prankster friends, and I thought, surely they would not have the poor taste to pull this kind of a prank on me right before my ordination panel. And then I'm like, yeah, no. And then I thought, oh, what if this is like a final test? This is a test. This is the ordination panel, checking to see how I would be as a minister, having a curveball thrown at me like this. And I'm like, no, that's can't be what's happening. And so then I'm kind of quickly going into, now notice this is all happening kind of in a flash. I'm going into prayer to center myself so that I can respond to this woman in some way. And right about then, the three paneling ministers walk up and they say, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I'm, still rubbing my stone. I'm surprised it still exists, actually. I was rubbing it so much. And we go into this gigantic ballroom. This happened to be a hotel that had previously been owned by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. And the room that we went into used to be kind of the nightclub of that hotel. It was like the Copacabana type thing. And so here we are, the four of us in this little corner in this giant ballroom. And I said, before we start, I need to share a story with you. And I told them what had happened and what my thinking was. And, we all got a good laugh. And then we proceeded, and things seemed to be flowing quite nicely and very well. And I'm holding my touchstone the whole time. And then they said, well, listen, just go across the room while we discuss, and then we'll have you come back with our decision. And I was about halfway across the room. They said, okay, you can come back now. And they said, congratulations, you are now an ordained minister. So I just give you that story to illustrate that sometimes that little touchstone, just a little stone in your pocket or anything, or necklace or whatever it is, or moving your ring around, reminds you to recenter in God, to be centered in spirit. And no matter what comes to you, you are coming from that place of center. Touchstones in everyday life make all the difference in the world. So find your touchstones. Be awake and aware of what they are and where they are, and pay attention to them. And so blessings on your journey with your spiritual touchstones in your everyday. And restore inner peace, move at the pace of guidance, embrace certainty of your purpose, and ask for what you need and want, and offer what you can. And so it is. And together we say, thank God within and all around us. Amen.
Flow, Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Show, Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love. This is called Flow Through Me by Eddie Watkins Jr. And we're going going to have him back one of these days real soon. So Flow Through Me is the name of the slide. Flow, Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Oh, show, Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love. Let's do it again. Flow, Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Oh, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love.
Thank you, Rob. Spirit flow through you. Could I have my chaplains come forward, please? Prayer chaplains. There's one back there hiding in the corner, too. Our prayer chaplains are here to serve you, to be in prayer with and for you for a greater experience of life. Here comes one now. Boy, they're just running up to the front. Come on down. So you can see them after service, and they will be more than happy to be in prayer with and for you. Or you can make a private appointment with them for a longer prayer session. Prayer is an important one of our spiritual practices. And please allow these folks to serve you, and let's thank them for the service that they offer. And so I want to let you know also that we have another opportunity to spend time together and with Spirit, and that is for our Wednesday evening music and inspiration service, 7 p.m. I really encourage you to check it out if you haven't. It's really different from Sunday, and it's really wonderful. It's a wonderful time to spend with one another, with oneself, and with God. And this week, our theme is life. Oh my gosh, there's a mystery. Life. So the meaning of life will be known after that Wednesday evening service, so you probably really want to come to that one. And the music will be provided by Phil Lieber and myself. So do join us for one of those services. Appreciate it. As I mentioned in my talk, we live in an abundant universe with a generous God. And so this is our opportunity to really practice that knowing. And so we have an opportunity to know that the good of God flows to us, through us, and back out again in that divine flow and circulation of receiving and giving. And so this is our opportunity. We're doing it in a sort of a safe way rather than passing baskets and pieces of paper and things. We ask that you just drop off your whatever your heart calls you to give in the baskets that are being held at the doors as you leave by our lovely, wonderful ushers and board members who are smiling with joy and gratitude. I know that a lot of you send your gifts in other ways than bringing them at Sunday service. So if that's you, just, pass your hand over the offering plate and send a blessing and be a part of that energy and a part of that flow. So bless us with a blessing or prayer so that everybody gets to participate in that flow. And let's say our affirmation together, please. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive abundantly. Hang on, we want to bless this. So I'm going to bless this one. You imaginatively bless as you're putting yours in, and that we absolutely know that we have been blessed by the goodness of God and that we become the blessing moving forward. And let's just know that right here and right now for all the gifts of time, talent, treasure, every gift, of blessing, of prayer. And so it is. So let's stand for our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
This is the moment.